For many women, emotional connection is a key driver in relationships, often more so than physical attraction alone. While physical intimacy is undoubtedly important, it's often the emotional bonds that create lasting satisfaction in a partnership. This distinction is crucial to understanding why some women may cheat. They might not be lacking in physical desire, but instead they may feel a deep sense of emotional neglect or disconnection from their partner. When that emotional need is unmet, they may look outside the relationship for someone who can offer the closeness or validation they are missing at home. It's important to recognize that women, like men, experience a broad spectrum of emotional needs in a relationship. They often seek to feel heard, understood, and valued. Emotional neglect can take many forms, whether it's a partner who is too busy to listen, who dismisses their feelings, or who simply isn't emotionally present. These feelings of neglect, combined with a lack of support or empathy from their partner, can create a space where cheating feels like an escape or solution. If a woman feels that her emotional needs aren't being met in her relationship, she may start to feel unappreciated or disconnected. Over time, this lack of emotional fulfillment can create a growing sense of dissatisfaction, leading her to search for someone who can offer the attention, validation, and emotional intimacy she craves. For many women, the desire for emotional closeness is deeply intertwined with their sense of security and happiness within a relationship. When they don't feel emotionally supported by their partner, they may not only feel lonely, but also unimportant or unseen. This is where emotional cheating, or developing a deep emotional connection with someone outside of the primary relationship, can sometimes precede physical infidelity. In these cases, the emotional connection becomes the primary need that is unfulfilled, and physical intimacy may follow as a secondary act, not as the starting point. The affair may feel less about the physical thrill and more about finding someone who truly listens, who offers empathy, or who simply makes them feel like they matter. Another key aspect to this emotional drive is the idea of vulnerability. Women often seek relationships where they can be their true selves, open, vulnerable, and safe. If a woman feels that her partner isn't creating that safe space or doesn't offer a sense of emotional security, she might find herself drawn to someone else who can. This person might listen to her more attentively, offer comfort, or make her feel appreciated in ways her partner no longer does. It's not about a lack of love for her primary partner, but about an emotional gap that grows over time, a gap that feels too wide to bridge without external support. Moreover, there are cases where the lack of emotional connection goes beyond just neglect and into deeper relational issues. If a woman feels trapped in a toxic, emotionally distant, or even abusive relationship, cheating can become an act of rebellion or self-preservation. In these situations, the affair can represent a way to regain some sense of control, reclaim her emotional agency, or assert her identity outside the constraints of an unhealthy relationship. Cheating, in this case, may not only be about seeking connection with another person, but about seeking a sense of autonomy or freedom that she feels is absent in her current partnership. In many ways, the search for emotional fulfillment in another person is a complex response to unmet needs in the primary relationship. It's not always about seeking someone better or looking for excitement. It can be as simple as wanting to feel seen, valued, and emotionally safe. If the partner doesn't provide these fundamental emotional supports, the woman may start to feel disconnected not just from her partner, but from herself. And when that disconnection becomes too much to bear, cheating can sometimes seem like the only way to feel emotionally complete again. Ultimately, understanding the psychology behind emotional needs and how they play into infidelity can offer valuable insight. It highlights that cheating is often not as much about the physical act itself as it is about a deeper emotional void that hasn't been addressed within the relationship. The emotional aspect of infidelity is something that can't be overlooked. It's as much a sign of the need for connection as it is a symptom of deeper relational issues. For many women, cheating can be a way of seeking validation, particularly when they feel overlooked or unappreciated in their current relationship. Self-esteem is a powerful force in any relationship, and when a woman's sense of worth is undermined, it can affect her emotional state and behavior in ways that lead to infidelity. The need for external validation is a fundamental part of the human experience, but for some women, this desire is amplified when their partner fails to recognize or affirm them in meaningful ways. It's not necessarily about a lack of love or commitment to the primary relationship, but more about feeling unseen, unimportant, or insecure. When a woman's self-esteem is fragile or damaged, she might start to look for affirmation outside of the relationship. In many cases, a woman may feel neglected, unappreciated, or simply invisible within her partnership. Whether it's because her partner no longer compliments her, acknowledges her achievements, or makes her feel attractive, the lack of recognition can lead to feelings of inadequacy or even self-doubt. Over time, this emotional void can create a dangerous space where infidelity becomes a potential way of coping or compensating for these negative feelings. The psychological need for validation doesn't just apply to physical attraction, but also to emotional and intellectual validation. If a woman feels that her thoughts, ideas, or contributions are dismissed or minimized, she may begin to seek a more receptive audience. This can often be the catalyst for an emotional affair, where the desire for attention, appreciation, and acknowledgement is the driving force. When someone outside the relationship listens intently, gives her compliments, or makes her feel seen and heard, it can create an emotional high that is intoxicating and validating. It may feel like a small escape from the emotional disappointment she experiences at home. This need to feel valued in all aspects of her life, emotionally, mentally, and physically, can lead to a sense of being drawn towards someone who is providing the kind of validation her primary partner isn't offering. Another key driver of infidelity for women seeking validation is the shift in how they view themselves, especially after major life changes. For instance, women who have children or who have spent a significant amount of time focused on family or career may experience shifts in their self-perception. They may no longer feel like the attractive, capable person they once were, especially if they feel that their partner has taken them for granted or is no longer invested in how they look or how they're feeling. During such transitions, a woman may feel the need to reclaim her sense of self-worth or rediscover her attractiveness. The attention of someone new, someone who notices her, admires her, or makes her feel desirable again, can provide a powerful boost to her self-esteem. At the heart of this need for validation is the desire to feel desirable and important, not just to her partner, but to the world around her. For some women, the emotional satisfaction of an affair is less about the affair itself and more about how it makes them feel about themselves. It's about feeling wanted, appreciated, and valued in a way they might not feel in their primary relationship. The external validation they receive through cheating can temporarily fill the void that exists within their sense of self-worth. Interestingly, validation-seeking behavior can be reinforced by the thrill of secrecy and the excitement of the affair itself. In the early stages, the attention and admiration that come with an affair can feel intoxicating, as it serves as a reminder of their attractiveness, charm, and desirability. This feeling can be incredibly validating, particularly if the woman is dealing with self-doubt or insecurity in her current relationship. However, this validation is often short-lived and ultimately leaves her feeling more conflicted or disconnected, as it's rooted in external factors rather than a deep sense of self-assurance or internal self-worth. It's important to recognize that the desire for validation is not inherently negative or selfish. It's a natural part of human psychology and is tied to our basic need for connection and acceptance. However, when this need is unmet in a primary relationship and the person feels unappreciated or invisible, it can lead to unhealthy coping mechanisms, including infidelity. Women who cheat out of a need for validation are often seeking something deeper than just physical pleasure. They're searching for an emotional acknowledgement that reaffirms their value and worth as individuals. In the end, the psychology behind validation-seeking infidelity highlights a deeper issue in the primary relationship. It's a sign that emotional needs are not being met, which can leave a person feeling lost, neglected, or inadequate. When those needs are not addressed, seeking external validation can seem like the only way to restore one's sense of self-worth. This emphasizes the importance of emotional recognition and appreciation within relationships, as the absence of these can lead individuals to seek the validation they crave from others. When a woman feels a lack of satisfaction in her relationship, whether it's emotional, intellectual, or physical, it can create a growing sense of dissatisfaction that might lead her to seek fulfillment elsewhere. Relationship satisfaction is a complex, multifaceted concept, and when certain needs are unmet or neglected, Infidelity can sometimes be seen as a way to address those gaps. The reasons behind this dissatisfaction vary, but at its core, it usually stems from a mismatch between what one partner needs and what the other is able to provide. This disconnect can gradually erode the emotional foundation of a relationship, leading to infidelity as a form of escape, excitement, or relief. The emotional aspect of relationship satisfaction is often the most significant. When a woman feels emotionally unsupported, unacknowledged, or disconnected from her partner, the relationship begins to feel more like a source of stress or frustration than a place of comfort and support. Emotional neglect can take many forms. A partner who is too busy or emotionally unavailable, who dismisses her feelings, or who simply no longer makes the effort to connect in meaningful ways. When this happens, it can create a void where a woman feels lonely even while being in a committed partnership. If the emotional intimacy that initially brought the couple together is no longer present, the relationship can begin to feel stagnant or even hollow. As the emotional connection weakens, many women start to feel dissatisfied not just with their partner's behavior, but with the overall dynamic of the relationship. In some cases, the dissatisfaction is tied to a sense of disillusionment. When the initial excitement of a relationship fades and the routine of everyday life takes over, it can sometimes feel like the spark is gone. Without new emotional experiences or shared moments of growth, the relationship may begin to feel like a routine or a place of unfulfilled potential. For women who have deeply invested in the relationship, this can be especially painful, as they may have hoped that it would provide a sense of lasting fulfillment. When that fulfillment doesn't come, they might seek it outside the relationship as a way of reigniting that sense of emotional or relational satisfaction. Physical satisfaction plays a crucial role as well. Many women experience dissatisfaction in their primary relationship due to unmet physical or sexual needs. Physical intimacy is not just about sex, it's about feeling desired, attractive, and close to one's partner. If a woman feels that her partner is no longer interested in her physically, or that the sexual aspect of their relationship has become routine, it can lead to feelings of rejection and loneliness. Over time, this lack of physical closeness can take a toll on her overall happiness and satisfaction within the relationship. In some cases, the absence of intimacy becomes a barrier, and the woman may seek that physical connection and affection elsewhere, hoping to feel desired or wanted once again. Intellectual satisfaction is another important but often overlooked aspect of relationship fulfillment. A lack of intellectual connection or shared interests can lead to dissatisfaction, particularly for women who place a high value on engaging, thought-provoking conversations. When a relationship becomes too predictable or one-dimensional, it can leave one partner, often the woman, feeling intellectually stifled. Women who crave mental stimulation and deep conversations might find themselves seeking these qualities from someone outside the relationship, who can offer new perspectives or engage in meaningful discussions. This type of dissatisfaction is subtle but powerful, as it creates a sense of unfulfilled potential in the relationship, making the attraction to someone who can fulfill these needs feel all the more appealing. In many cases, dissatisfaction in a relationship doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that builds up over time. Small issues, such as unspoken resentments or unmet needs, accumulate and create an emotional and psychological distance between partners. When a woman feels like she has tried to communicate her dissatisfaction only to have her concerns dismissed or ignored, it can leave her feeling like her needs are unimportant. This feeling of being unheard or unacknowledged can increase the likelihood that she will look outside the relationship for someone who is willing to listen, validate, and engage with her in a way that her partner hasn't. The search for satisfaction outside of the primary relationship is not necessarily an indication that the woman no longer loves her partner. Often, it's a sign that she is trying to fill the emotional, physical, or intellectual void that has emerged in the relationship. In some cases, the affair may be seen as a way of escaping the daily frustrations and disappointment that have come to define the primary relationship. It can also represent an attempt to reawaken a sense of excitement, passion, or intimacy that has been lost. However, this search for satisfaction through infidelity is ultimately a reflection of deeper issues within the relationship itself. It underscores the importance of maintaining open communication, addressing unmet needs, and nurturing the emotional, physical, and intellectual aspects of a partnership. When these needs go unaddressed, the relationship can become a source of dissatisfaction rather than fulfillment, and that's when the temptation to seek satisfaction elsewhere becomes stronger. In the end, the psychology behind relationship dissatisfaction as a cause of infidelity is not about seeking something better outside the relationship, but rather seeking to restore a sense of personal fulfillment that has been lost. It's about regaining the excitement, connection, and recognition that were once present and have now faded into the background. Understanding and addressing these sources of dissatisfaction is key to preventing infidelity and fostering a healthier, more connected partnership. Situational factors and opportunities play a significant role in why some women cheat, highlighting that infidelity is not always about deep-seated dissatisfaction or emotional neglect in a relationship. In many cases, the conditions surrounding the relationship, such as circumstances, timing, and external influences, create the right environment for temptation to arise. It's easy to think of infidelity as a product of personal or relational issues, but the reality is that the mere presence of opportunity can sometimes lead to infidelity, especially when emotional needs are already unmet or when the relationship is undergoing some kind of strain. One of the most prominent situational factors contributing to cheating is the increased access to new people. In today's world, technology has made it easier than ever to meet new individuals. Social media platforms, dating apps, and even work events provide countless opportunities for interactions that can lead to emotional and physical connections. For women who might already feel emotionally disconnected or underappreciated in their primary relationship, these new interactions can seem like a breath of fresh air. A simple online conversation or an unexpected meeting can evolve into something more, especially if the other person provides the kind of attention, admiration, or validation that the woman feels is lacking at home. These circumstances can create a tempting scenario where the connection with someone new feels exciting and full of potential, even if the woman never actively sought it out. Another key aspect of situational infidelity is the role of life changes. When major transitions occur, such as a career shift, a move to a new city, or the end of an important life stage, children growing up, or a long-term relationship shifting in dynamic, a person may feel a need to assert their independence, explore new aspects of their identity, or even reclaim parts of themselves that feel lost. For women, these periods of change can be marked by a sense of vulnerability and the desire to experience something new or different. During such times, infidelity can occur as a way to seek novelty or excitement that might feel absent in their everyday life. These life changes can also create a sense of uncertainty, where women may look outside their current relationship for reassurance, comfort, or emotional stability. In some cases, situational infidelity occurs simply because the opportunity arises at a time when the woman is most susceptible to temptation. For example, if she's traveling for work and finds herself in a new, unfamiliar setting, the thrill of a fresh experience might make her feel free from the constraints and responsibilities of her daily life. The anonymity and distance that come with being away from home can make it easier to engage in behaviors that would normally seem out of character. A brief affair while traveling, for example, might feel less real or consequential to someone who is already emotionally disconnected from their partner, as the lack of immediate consequences or accountability can create a sense of detachment from the gravity of the situation. Social and peer pressure can also influence situational infidelity. If a woman is surrounded by friends or colleagues who normalize or even encourage infidelity, the likelihood of cheating can increase. Sometimes infidelity can be perceived as an act of rebellion, or even as a way to gain approval or validation from others in her social circle. If her peers are actively engaging in or endorsing cheating, a woman might feel less guilty or more justified in stepping outside her own relationship, especially if she feels her emotional needs are not being met at home. The desire for acceptance and social belonging can in some cases make the line between right and wrong feel less clear. At the same time, infidelity can also arise in situations where a woman feels trapped in a relationship she cannot easily exit. If the emotional or physical distance in the relationship has already widened and divorce or separation isn't immediately feasible, an affair might serve as a way to escape or temporarily alleviate the dissatisfaction she feels. In such cases, the affair can be seen not as an expression of a deep emotional desire for another partner, but as a way to break free from the confines of a relationship that no longer feels fulfilling or emotionally safe. In all these situations, it's important to remember that opportunity alone doesn't cause cheating. there are underlying emotional or relational dynamics that make a woman more likely to act on those opportunities. If a woman is already emotionally disconnected or seeking something her partner isn't providing, the presence of a new person or the chance to escape from a monotonous routine can trigger infidelity. The opportunity acts as a catalyst, but the deeper reasons for the affair often lie in the emotional or psychological needs that aren't being met within the primary relationship. Ultimately, while situational factors can increase the likelihood of cheating, they don't negate the responsibility of both partners to maintain open communication and emotional intimacy. Recognizing the role that external circumstances play in infidelity helps to shed light on the complexity of relationships and the various forces that can drive people to make choices that they might not have otherwise made. Biological and psychological differences play an undeniable role in why some women cheat, particularly when it comes to the dynamics of sexual desire and emotional attachment. While both men and women experience desires, needs, and urges in relationships, the way these are processed and prioritized can vary. Women, for instance, often approach intimacy in a more holistic way, where emotional connection is just as important as physical attraction. This can lead to situations where the emotional dissatisfaction in a relationship may prompt a woman to cheat, even if the physical aspect seems stable. On the other hand, women's experiences of sexual desire and attachment can be influenced by a number of factors, from hormonal fluctuations to life stages, which makes their motivations for infidelity somewhat different from those of men. One of the most significant differences between men and women, biologically speaking, is how they tend to experience and express their sexual desire. Men, by and large, are often driven more by physical attraction and sexual release, while women tend to require emotional intimacy for a more satisfying sexual experience. This means that if a woman feels emotionally disconnected or undervalued in her relationship, it can drastically affect her desire for physical intimacy with her partner. Even if there is no problem with physical attraction, the lack of emotional closeness can cause her sexual interest to diminish. When this happens, infidelity can sometimes occur not out of a lack of physical desire, but out of the need to feel emotionally valued or desired. In some cases, a woman may seek out someone who provides the emotional connection she is missing, and the physical intimacy may follow as a natural result of that emotional bond. Psychologically, women are often more prone to form strong emotional attachments in relationships. This is not only a result of cultural or social influences, but also biological factors. Research suggests that women tend to have a stronger emotional investment in their relationships, as they are more likely to seek deeper bonds, trust, and communication. When these emotional needs are not met, a woman might find herself seeking that connection elsewhere. This doesn't always manifest as an immediate physical affair, but rather as an emotional affair, or a deepening relationship with someone who listens, validates, and offers the connection that is missing in her primary relationship. The emotional fulfillment she seeks outside the relationship may lead to physical intimacy later, but the initial desire to cheat often stems from the need to feel emotionally safe and desired. Moreover, the role of hormones and life stages cannot be overlooked in the psychological and biological factors that influence infidelity. For example, women experience hormonal shifts at various points in their life, such as during pregnancy, childbirth, or menopause. These fluctuations can impact not just their physical health, but their emotional and sexual needs. A woman going through menopause, for instance, might feel a shift in her libido or emotional needs, and if these changes are not understood or addressed by her partner, she may turn to someone else who appears to be more attentive to her evolving needs. Similarly, women in different stages of life may seek to reconnect with their own desires, especially if they feel their identity has been overtaken by the roles of mother or caretaker. At these times, the search for a new connection can be driven in part by the need to reclaim a sense of youthfulness or vitality that they feel has been lost. For many women, the desire for a fulfilling emotional connection can sometimes be more compelling than purely physical attraction. However, this emotional fulfillment is often intertwined with a desire for physical affection and intimacy. If a woman feels emotionally and physically neglected, her attraction to someone who provides both can be intensified. This connection becomes especially significant if the woman feels disconnected from her partner, whether emotionally or sexually. The resulting affair might not necessarily be about a lack of love for the primary partner, but rather a desire to restore a sense of self that feels incomplete in the current relationship. In some instances, the hormonal or emotional drivers behind infidelity are more subconscious, with the woman not fully aware of the underlying emotional void. For example, during moments of stress or emotional upheaval, a woman might find herself more susceptible to the attention of someone else, simply because it provides temporary relief or validation. In these cases, the affair might be less about the affair partner and more about an escape from the emotional turmoil within her own life. The biological and psychological factors behind these decisions are not always immediately clear, even to the woman herself, as the desire to reconnect with one's own feelings of worth or identity can be overpowering. The complex interplay of biological and psychological factors shows that women's motivations for cheating are often rooted in emotional needs that are deeply intertwined with their physical desires. It's not simply about being dissatisfied with a partner physically, but can be about seeking a more holistic form of connection. Understanding this intricate mix of factors can help explain why infidelity might not always have clear or logical explanations. It is often a response to unmet emotional and physical needs that, when compounded over time, can lead to betrayal. Ultimately, it highlights the need for strong emotional and physical intimacy in relationships, where both partners can feel understood and desired in a balanced way. Cultural and societal expectations significantly shape how both men and women approach relationships, and these expectations can play a role in why some women cheat. The models of love, fidelity, and loyalty that are commonly portrayed in the media or passed down through generations often create pressures and conflicts within relationships. For women, these societal norms can clash with their personal desires or needs, sometimes leading them to act out in ways that feel like a form of rebellion, self-expression, or even self-preservation. Infidelity, in this sense, can be both a response to external expectations and an attempt to regain control over one's identity, autonomy, and personal desires. For many women, the ideal of romantic love and loyalty is shaped by cultural narratives that stress the importance of emotional and physical fidelity. These models often emphasize selflessness, sacrifice, and the idea of enduring commitment, all of which can create immense pressure in a relationship. While these ideals are not inherently negative, they can become problematic when they leave women feeling stifled, emotionally drained, or as though their own needs are secondary to the expectations of others. If a woman finds herself in a relationship where she is expected to fulfill traditional roles, such as being a devoted partner, mother, or caretaker, without receiving the emotional or physical satisfaction she needs, she may feel trapped or frustrated. In such cases, infidelity can be seen as a way to reclaim a sense of personal agency and to assert control over her own life, especially if she feels that her identity has become overshadowed by the expectations placed on her. Moreover, women who grow up with certain ideals about love and fidelity may find it difficult to reconcile these ideals with the reality of their relationships. Societal teachings often portray romantic relationships as the ultimate source of happiness and fulfillment, with the idea of a perfect partner or a soulmate being ingrained from an early age. However, when the reality of a relationship falls short of these expectations, when it becomes routine, emotionally distant, or even unfulfilling, women may feel confused or disillusioned. This dissonance between societal ideals and their actual experiences can lead to a sense of frustration and dissatisfaction, making it harder for them to remain fully committed to a relationship that doesn't live up to their dreams. In these moments of frustration, cheating can seem like a way to break free from the confines of those expectations and to seek out a connection that feels more authentic or satisfying. At the same time, modern shifts in gender roles and expectations also contribute to how women experience relationships and infidelity. The evolution of women's roles in society, especially in the context of work, education, and personal empowerment, has created new pressures. As women gain more independence and autonomy, they may also feel less inclined to tolerate behavior from their partners that they once might have accepted. In relationships where a woman feels underappreciated, controlled, or disregarded, her ability to take charge of her own emotional and physical needs becomes more apparent. Infidelity, in this context, can be an expression of autonomy or a reclaiming of power, as women may feel that their desires and needs should no longer be ignored or suppressed. There's also a growing awareness of the double standards that exist in society regarding gender and infidelity. Historically, women have been taught that they must be the faithful ones, while men have been granted more leeway in terms of their sexual and emotional behavior. This gendered approach to infidelity can cause confusion and resentment when a woman's emotional or sexual needs go unmet. In some cases, she may feel justified in seeking out another connection because of the belief that she deserves the same freedoms or indulgences that men have been afforded. The societal pressure to maintain an image of purity and loyalty can, paradoxically, drive women to act out in ways that challenge those norms. This pushback against cultural expectations can be a form of liberation, even if it leads to actions that ultimately complicate their emotional or relational life. Furthermore, the influence of media and pop culture cannot be underestimated. Television shows, movies, and books often glorify infidelity, portraying it as an act of passion, rebellion, or self-discovery. These portrayals may create unrealistic expectations about the emotional thrill or satisfaction that comes with infidelity, or even make cheating seem like an acceptable, if not inevitable, part of romantic life. Women, in particular, are often depicted in these stories as seeking emotional fulfillment outside of their primary relationships, which can normalize the idea of stepping outside traditional boundaries when dissatisfaction arises. The impact of these portrayals can make infidelity feel less taboo and more understandable, particularly if a woman feels trapped in a relationship that no longer serves her emotional or personal needs. Ultimately, cultural and societal expectations play a significant role in shaping the way women navigate relationships and infidelity. These external pressures, coupled with personal desires and emotional needs, can create an environment where cheating seems like an outlet for frustration, a way to regain agency, or a response to unrealistic ideals. It is crucial to recognize that infidelity is not simply about betrayal. It often reflects deeper societal and relational dynamics that shape how women perceive themselves, their roles, and their desires. By addressing these cultural pressures and creating more balanced expectations in relationships, we can better understand the complex motivations that lead to infidelity and the ways in which women may seek to navigate these competing demands.